Okay, what we're going to do today is we're just going to talk about the special factors of cubes. And so there's a sum of cubes and a difference of cubes, and really this saying down here is what's going to help you remember it. Okay, so the way it goes is first one, second one, first one squared, first one times the second one squared, first sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. Okay, so if we say that saying, it will help us factor our cubes. And so if you notice, the main thing I said is first one, second one. Those are the big things. And so you have to know what the first one is. Okay, so for this one, my first one is what thing to the third power is x cubed. So when I say first one, I mean x. And here, when I say second one, I mean y. All right? So it starts off and it's going to be a binomial times a trinomial. All right, so when I say first one, I'm going to write x. When I say second one, I'm going to write y. All right, so first one, second one, first one squared, first one times the second one squared. So again, it was first one squared, first one times the second one squared. All right, now here's the last line. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. And so that's how you factor that. It's just a little saying that helps you remember it. And what's nice is that saying works for all cubes. So again, we go over, let's look at the difference of cubes. My first one is actually x, and my second one is y. So it's a binomial times a trinomial. Okay, so again, when I say first one, for this problem, I'm going to write x. When I say second one, for this problem, I'm going to write y. Ooh, excuse me. So first one squared. First one times the second one squared. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. Okay, so both of those were nice because there was no numbers involved, but we were going to have numbers. So we need to actually probably write down our list. Well, we know 1 to the third is just 1. 2 to the third is 8. 3 to the third is 27. 4 to the third is 64. 5 to the third is 125. Go to the next line. 6 to the third is 216. 7 to the third is 343. 8 to the third is 512. 9 to the third is 729. And 10 to the third is 1,000. You will see those a lot, and you will start to recognize what they are. All right, so now let's do this problem down below, the x cubed plus 8. My first one is just x. My second one, though, I have to think, what number to the third power gives me 8? And if you look at my list, 2 does. So my first one is x. My second one is 2. So when I say first one, I'll write x. When I say second one, you're going to write 2. That's right. So again, it's a binomial times a trinomial. First one, second one, first one squared. First one times the second one. Now, I'm not going to write x2 because when I multiply those, that would be 2x. So again, first one squared. First one times the second one squared. Well, 2 squared is actually 4, so you do the little bit of math there. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. Okay, let's look at the next one. My x is just x. This is 5 to the third. So my first one's x. My second one is 5. So I'm going to do a binomial times a trinomial. And here we go. First one, second one, first one squared. First one times the second one squared. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. Okay. All right, so that's the general rule. If you say the same, it will help you remember it. Okay. All right, so we have 5 different examples we're going to try. Some are harder than others because there's 2 variables and other things, but it's the same process. Okay, so copy those down. Try out the first 2. So maybe try out to here. And then press play when you think you have it. So you should have said an X and a 3. First one, second one, first one squared. First one times the second one squared. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. And I just realized this is the same number we had before, so hopefully you did it right. You could have just looked at your notes. That was a bad example on my part. So this will be, this is x to the 3rd, and why don't we just change it right now so that way it's not a total waste of time. Let's do 729. So now it's 9 to the 3rd. So if you'd already done the 5, go ahead and fix that and change that. So first one, second one, first one squared. First one times the second one squared. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. Okay, so now we're going to have some that are a little different because I have numbers and variables. This first one, I have to think about, how did I get an 8? Well, that's a 2x. And this one, how do I get a 25? Well, that's a 5. All right, first one, second one, first one squared. Now here's the issue. When I square the first one, I square both of these. So it's actually 4x squared. First one times the second one, well, that's 2x times 5, so that's 10x. Second one squared. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. All right, same idea here. This time I have numbers and variables on both. Well, this is a 3x to the 3rd, and this is a 2y to the 3rd. So I know my first one is 3x, and I know my second one is 2y. So first one, second one, first one squared. First one times the second one squared. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. All right, one last problem when you don't have an exponent to the 3rd. Well, this is actually x squared to the 3rd. Plus, what do we say 512 was? 512 was 8 to the 3rd. Okay, so binomial times a trinomial. So my first one is x squared. My second one is 8. So first one, second one, first one squared. Where squaring a square becomes a 4th. First one times the second one squared. First sign's the same, second sign's not, last sign's always plus, and here's what you got. So the big thing you have to do is you first of all have to do these parentheses and recognize, okay, what's my first one? What's my second one? Don't avoid the song. I know it's cheesy and you may not like it, but it's going to help you memorize this process and it'll help you factor perfect cubes better.